This simple thing that we call New Year actually presents a very, very unique opportunity. And that's one of the reasons why, as many of you are aware, we're also offering every year a New Year's retreat, which is a retreat of meditation that starts some days before the New Year, and it goes over the exact time of New Year's and to the day that comes after, to the 1st of January. We do that retreat for a reason. The thing is that in Tantra, there is a different vision. The Tantrics have a different vision of reality. As many of you know, the Tantrics see reality as simply as an energy, as the manifestation of Shakti. But that is not enough, because everybody can say, well, everything is energy, and it's so nice, and we feel energy, we see energy, it's cool. That's a very new agey approach to the subject. Not that it's wrong, but it's not the whole story. Because what Tantra says is not only that it's energy, or as we say in Sanskrit or in the Tantric tradition, Shakti. It's more than that, because energy is quantized. Shakti's manifestation is quantized, which means it is not constant. It feels constant. We perceive it as a constant reality which is continuously manifesting in front of our eyes. But the truth is, and that's what happens when you go into deep meditation in Tantra, and you start seeing through the fabric of reality, which is what the ancient Tantrics did, then they started noticing that actually the way reality is structured is that it has blocks, like structure. It's made of a kind of like a blockchain, like a link, like a chain that has one link and another link and another link. It is quantized, which means it has a structure, but all of these things are put together to create the image of reality for us, but it doesn't mean that there is no differentiation between the different blocks that make reality. And in between those quantas, there are actually breaks. Those breaks are very difficult to perceive. And that's why most people don't perceive them. And the next question would be, if there is a break, if Shakti, or energy, is actually made of these quantas, then what is beyond that? That means if I look in between, let's say somehow I could peek in between those blocks that make reality, what would I see behind it? What is there beyond reality? Now that is a fascinating question. What is there is something that I can't even define for you right now. I can try intellectually, but it's not really going to give you a correct answer. This is something that needs to be experienced in meditation. But let's call it for now, in a simplified way, we can call it the void. And there are special meditations that can allow you to find those, let's call it cracks in reality, those, gaps in reality. There are meditations that are especially made for that. And when you go into this gap, you can see the void, you can see the real. What is reality? Not just Shakti, which is, showing us this film, this nature, whatever we see, this reality, what we call real, but we actually see the real, that which is beyond everything. The yogis and the tantrics understood that by understanding the nature of reality and how it's structured, you actually get a kind of a shortcut, or let's say like a cheat code, if you talk about video games, where you can penetrate through the fabric of reality. And what this does to your consciousness, wow, this is the key to really transforming your consciousness. You don't stay the same person after you look upon the void properly. It is an extremely spiritual experience. Now, what does that have to do with New Year? I'm glad you asked. New Year's Eve, let's be honest, is a completely fabricated moment. I mean, this is a moment that human beings have dictated to be a special moment because of the calendar, the Gregorian calendar. It has nothing to do with any special, astrological or astronomical event or some other nature shift. There's no big tsunami, or I don't know, some big thing that is happening. It's just an arbitrary decision, which is agreed upon all over the world, that this is the calendar, and then at this point in time, something changes. It's a human agreement, a convention, that we decide that this moment is important. But the thing is, and that's the key, it doesn't have to be a shift in nature. It can also be a big shift in the mind or in the consciousness of the human being. And the bigger the numbers of the human beings that are synchronized for a shift moment, the bigger the gap. So, what is New Year from the perspective of the Tantrics? It is an opportunity. So if you meditate, you can do it, and that's what we do. By the way, in the New Year's retreat, we synchronize our meditation to peak moments according to different time zones. In the moment of the shift at midnight, again, depending on the time zone, if you can catch that moment to meditate properly, you are kind of riding a wave. Think like a surfer who's riding a very big wave of millions and sometimes billions of people who are all focused on this countdown gap. It's like suddenly you have an opportunity, and if you know what to put with your mind and how to meditate in that point, then that opportunity can be a huge change. And I'm not saying it just, it's not a hyperbole, this is real. I'm talking about a change that will mind blow you. It will totally blow your mind. And it can be that the next year will be very, very different for you and for others. And it's like you put a code into the matrix, if you want to use the movie analogy. It's like suddenly you change the code of the matrix. Just because you meditated and you were centered and you knew what to use and what to say and what mantras, whatever to use in the right moment. So you just go there, pop, you change the code, and next year magically is different.